People think genealogies are boring. They are anything but they are misunderstood. Genealogies in the Old Testament are an exciting source of insider information for people in the know. But they are often misunderstood or abused. If you like this channel and wish to help us out, please hit that subscribe button, and please consider helping us financially by becoming a Patreon member or buying my book, The Ark of the Covenant in its Egyptian Context, an Illustrated Journey. Now, genealogies are called in Hebrew Toledot. And generally, I prefer calling a genealogy by its Hebrew name because when we talk about genealogies in the West, we start importing our ideas of what a genealogy is, how it works, and what it's supposed to tell us. And more often than not, our Western ideas of genealogy, when we import them into the Bible, are often misleading, anachronistic, or just plain wrong. In the West, when we are given a genealogy, we typically tend to read it with a mindset that tries to discover two things, which is one, who are the ancestors of somebody important, or two, how far back does it go? And in both cases, these inquiries sort of lead to questions of descent and chronology. On the other hand, Hebrew Toledot are used in an amazing number of ways, but are almost never used the way we would use a genealogy in the West. This leads to problems when we approach the text, because we often have tunnel vision when it comes to trying to interpret a genealogy. This tunnel vision can tempt us to misread a genealogy. And I have to admit that I have been guilty of this sometimes myself. So this is not a problem that's, say, unique to a lay reader. Even Bible scholars fall into these cultural traps sometimes. So we have to always be cognizant when we approach a Hebrew Toledot as to what is the text trying to convey. Now, a Hebrew Toledot can be used to express truths that are not necessarily historical. They can be used to graft unrelated families into other clans. They can be used to explain why something happened. Often they can be used for pedagogy to show how something bad in the present was caused by a bad actor or act in the past. We must understand that Hebrew genealogies are not concerned with descent or chronology. Too often, Western readings try to establish absolute dates from genealogies, but that is almost always a misreading. This mistake stems from failing to understand the imperatives of ancient Israelite culture. Those imperatives are clan continuity and social integrity. Israelite society was a clan-based society, and not focused upon individuals. A clan is a unit defined as a succession of 4 generations. After a clan grew beyond 4 generations, it would often split and form new clans. And a clan was often named after its progenitor, and would maintain that name until the formation of a new clan. when the old clan name would pass away or experience death of memory. This means that we are not always dealing with a list of individuals in a genealogy, but sometimes with the names of clans. Israelite genealogies could be abbreviated, eliminating unimportant intermediaries and adding the lifespans of those intermediaries together. The ancient thinking is that you are, as a father, begat not only a son, but a grandson or a great-great-grandson, because they are also sons. Just like in the reverse, your father, your grandfather, is also your father. So it works both ways. So let's take a few examples to illustrate some of these concepts. We are going to start with a short example, which is 2 Samuel 6:3. And they placed the ark of God on a new cart, that they might bring it from the house of Abinadab, which was on the hill. And Uzzah and Ahio, the sons of Abinadab, were leading the new cart. Here we are told that Uzzah and Ahio were sons of Abinadab. This is actually a really short genealogy that is being used to communicate extra information. In verse 7, Uzzah is killed because he touches the ark. And King David was angry because God struck down Uzzah, verse 8. But the key to understanding the passage can be found in the genealogy. Abinadab was the son of Jesse and brother of David, 1 Samuel 16:8. So Uzzah and Ahio were David's nephews. In other words, they were Judahites of the tribe of Judah. The ark was only permitted to be handled by Levites of the clan of Kohath. The genealogy points out David's nepotism without explicitly criticizing the monarchy. It's very political of the text writer. Another example is 1 Chronicles 6:31-38. Now, I have discussed this genealogy in a previous video, but it is such an interesting example that it's worth mentioning again. What makes this such an interesting example is the intent of the genealogy, which is to graft an unrelated clan into the clan of Kohath. We know that Heman is the grandson of the prophet Samuel, and that this genealogy from Samuel to Zuph was copied from 1 Samuel 1:1. And Zuph was in fact an Ephraimite. We have to understand that this was not an attempt to deceive anyone, since Israelites were well versed in genealogies. Genealogies were an important part of their storytelling tradition. Yes, ancient Israelites would entertain each other by reciting genealogies and the stories that go with them. This is their equivalent to going out to the Saturday night theater. Genealogies were entertainment in the ancient Near East. This genealogy was to honor Samuel, who had served faithfully in the tabernacle by making his posterity honorary Levites. This ensured that Samuel's descendants would continue to serve in the temple. Now, a final example where clan identifiers instead of individuals are used is Genesis 11:10-26. Now, I'm actually going to show here the translation from the Septuagint, as the numbers here are probably better. However, it doesn't really fix the interpretive problems, as we will see. Now, I'm not going to read through this entire genealogy because it would take too long. But I will read the last few lines, starting at verse 23. And Sarah lived after he had begotten Nahor 200 years, and begotten sons and daughters, and died. And Nahor lived 179 years, and begot Terah. And Nahor lived after he had begotten Terah 125 years, and begot sons and daughters, and he died. And Terah lived 70 years, and begot Abram, and Nahor, and Haran. Now, many of the issues that we are going to discuss in Genesis 11 could also apply to Genesis 5, because both genealogies are constructed in a similar manner. But for the sake of simplicity, we are just going to talk about Genesis 11. And a lot of people look at this chapter and think all we need to do is add up the years of the individuals when they became fathers to get the date of the flood. And if all we did was naively add up the dates, we would have made a mistake, even if all the math were correct. Many assume that Terah lived 70 years, then became father of Abram. The inference is that Abram was Terah's firstborn son, but that is incorrect. Terah was 205 years when he died, Genesis 11:32. But Abram was 75 when he left Haran after the death of Terah, Genesis 12:4. This means that Terah was 130 years old when Abram was born. So then what does this tell us about Genesis 11? It tells us that the age one man began the next person does not necessarily refer to the person being referenced as that son. Abram is given the position in the list as the firstborn son, even though he was not. Abram was the most important of the sons of Terah, and thus given honorary firstborn rank. But Terah established a new clan at the age of 70, even if it was not Abram's clan. Thus, in Genesis 5 and 11, we are dealing with the succession of important clans. The creation of a new clan was an important event, important enough to mark the year. A century or more for a clan before spawning a new clan is something that we could expect. However, the clan that is begotten was not the clan that was necessarily begotten on that year, but is the most important clan for the sake of the narrative. Just like Terah's 70th year was the year a new clan was established. However, it was not Abram's clan. This has the implication that we simply cannot just add the dates of the fathers to generate a date for the flood or creation in the case of Genesis 5. So what we have here overall is a very complex treatment of genealogies. Genealogies have a wide set of uses. Sometimes they're historical, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're pedagogical, sometimes they're explanatory. They have a wide diversity of meaning and of application, and they are really, really exciting, interesting, and can give us just incredible amounts of new information. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time on Ancient Egypt and the Bible.